Hi, I'm Marta Benavides. It's time for Socialife. It's so wonderful to have you with us again. A call for action in a time of COVID. We're going to sit down with Congressman Vicente Gonzalez to hear his thoughts on a double crisis affecting life right here at home. It's a conversation you don't want to miss. Keeping our kids safe and entertained this summer. How the Boys and Girls Club of McAllen is trying to meet the needs of the Valley while adapting to new safety guidelines. Plus, a popular side dish proving it can stand all on its own. Our friends from Mori Japanese Grill are going to walk us through this delicious recipe. Stay with us, more Socialife right after this.
In McAllen ISD, students are engaged in viable and enriching lessons thanks to a seamless transition to distance learning. We have the tools and know-how to maintain your child's education at a high level of rigor. Register today. Call 687-6473.
En McAllen ISD, los estudiantes participan en lecciones viables y enriquecedoras gracias a una transición perfecta al aprendizaje a distancia. Tenemos las herramientas y los conocimientos necesarios para mantener la educación de sus hijos con un alto nivel de rigor. Inscríbase hoy, llame al 687-6473.
At North Park Lexus RGV, we embrace posted pricing. It's our approach to transparent pricing and making what the car buying experience is supposed to be, fun. We value the guest experience. Whether you're looking at a brand new Lexus or a pre-owned vehicle, we invite you out to see what it's all about. Visit us in person or online at nplexusrgv.com. Come see what posted pricing is all about.
You know, during this time, there's one thing that is happening a lot is that a lot of people are unemployed. You know, people lost their jobs and they're really struggling. You know, it's time to us to see how we can help them. You know, one of the things that we're doing is we actually are getting together a lot of food and distributing it. But there's other many ways you can do it. You know, find out how you can help. I think that we have to make a difference to be one community. So reach out to your community and see what you can do to help.
We appreciate you so much, Sister Norma. You know, we are in the middle of a health crisis, and it is such an important time for us to come together as a people. Today, I want to welcome Valley lawmaker Vicente Gonzalez. He's joining us today. Congressman Gonzalez, we thank you so much for your time. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing much better. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely, such a pleasure. I want to start with COVID relief efforts. I understand that you are sponsoring a bill that is going to offer some much needed help for Hidalgo County business.
That's right. Well, we've had we've had $151 million allocated to the counties and cities that we were able to bring to counties with a population of over 800,000, which Hidalgo County qualified for. We also have the PPP funds that were brought to our businesses. I recently co-sponsored a bill to expand and give more flexibility to small businesses. They had a 2-month limit to spend this loan. And it's obviously, as you know, we're living very complicated times. And when you put an 8-week limit to actually have to spend that loan in order to not have to pay it back, it put a lot of pressure on businesses, especially restaurants and places that just couldn't open up this fast. Sure. And also the rules on expenditures were not only the 8-week period, but also you had to spend 75% of it on payroll. And under the new rules, we went from 8 weeks to 24 weeks, which is a huge, it takes a lot of weight off of small businesses, and we reduced the payroll burden from 75% to 60%. So that extra 40, folks are able to spend it on rent, utilities, issues that maybe came up because of the actual shutdown that has impacted a lot of small and middle-sized businesses here in our community. So we're hoping that brings them some relief. On that second group of PPP, we assured that a lot of those loans, as we heard nationally, a lot of those funds went to the larger small businesses, which really some of them shouldn't even be qualified as small businesses. People with 500 employees, 400 employees, 300 employees, And I felt like some of my mom and pop shops and little pizzerias and restaurants and mechanic shops with 5 or 10 or 20 or 50 employees weren't able to capture some of those loans. So we fixed that on the second round, and we assured that a lot of those loans were at $50 billion were allocated to community banks, some of our smaller banks here locally who deal regularly with small businesses and have a better relationship, and we're in a better position to assure that those funds got down to the people that needed it most.
And I'm sure they're going to appreciate it so much, that ample time to help our local business owners get back on their feet. Thank you for that, Congressman. I think, right now our attention is going to go to a subject that's perhaps is a little bit uncomfortable to talk about, but it's one that is gained so much national attention, even on a global level. I'm talking about the recent death of a Minneapolis man. A lot of people taking to the streets, demonstrating, protesting, calling for justice. How do we offer hope, Congressman, to those who clearly want change in the system?
Well, I think clearly, finally, now we're having a conversation that's a very difficult conversation to have on Capitol Hill, and it's talking about police reform. And I'll begin by saying that the vast majority of our police officers and law enforcement officers and men and women in uniform are very good members of our community and are very good at what they do. But you have that small element, that the bad apples, that, if you will, that just give the whole group and create a huge stain on law enforcement in general. And I think that we need to go back to training, the way folks are trained. We have a new bill that I'm an original co-sponsor that just came out on police reform that talks about training and talks about figuring out the least violent way or method to police a community and to have a good relationship with the community and be able to arrest somebody in a nonviolent way if you have to, or figure out if maybe somebody doesn't need to be arrested. The situation needs to be addressed in a different way. And I think America in general needs to have that very serious conversation, because when you compare American police forces to some police forces in Europe and Asia and other parts of the world, yes, we have some of the most violent in the world. So we need to have a very serious conversation with ourselves and say, how are we failing? What's happening? What makes us different, and why are we not doing as well as our other advanced countries and counterparts in Western Europe and Asia, and figure out what we can do to improve. And I think many police officers who I talk to understand this, and they know that there's improvements that can be had and that can be made in the training of police officers. So this new bill talks about new methods of training when they deal with minorities, more sensitivity to minorities, to minority religious groups, to folks that maybe people have never even considered as a point of conversation when you're training at a police academy. And those are things that we're going to be talking about. Also limiting military grade equipment that's being handed out to some of our police forces around the country in places that really do not need to be militarized. And that's a conversation to be had. We're on the border. We're in maybe a different situation, but if you're in a small town in Iowa or Nebraska, you have no need for military grade equipment. Also, if you're receiving federal funding, there's probably going to be a requirement for body cameras if you're going to be using federal funds. So that's going to be an issue. They're trying to limit the warrants without knocking. When they just blast through a door. Those are the situations that mostly cause violent results. And when you look at deaths by police forces around the world, the United States of America is ranked in the top. And we also have mass incarceration that needs to be addressed. And just recently, we had a study in Washington that we talked about that if every state in the country of the United States was considered a country, our 31 states with the highest incarceration rate would lead the world as countries. And these are conversations that we haven't had enough of in Washington. And I think this issue with George Floyd has spread worldwide because it's a conversation that I think the American people and the world wants their lawmakers to have.
You know, I think it's wonderful that we've started that conversation. Hopefully we can get to the other side, Congressman, in a more peaceful, more compassionate manner. I think we can all look at ourselves and say, how can I participate? How can I better serve? What do I need to do to better myself? And I think that's a great start. We're coming up.
I believe so.
I hope so. I hope for that, Congressman. I can't believe we're almost halfway through the year. This year just felt like it flew by, and we're coming. We're coming up to a presidential election this November. How do we encourage everyone to head to the polls?
Well, I was talking to a few members of Congress about a week ago that it seems like every 2 years or every 4 years, we tell the American people that this is the most important election of their lifetime. But it certainly seems like this one really is the most important election of our lifetime. We're living in very critical times in our history. We're living through a pandemic, through an economic crisis, through a very divisive period in American politics, and I think just American society in general. And I think it's going to be a very challenging election, and I think it's very important for people to take that step and get out and vote and social distance and get in the long lines that you need, but make sure and cast your vote, make your voice be heard. I think the country and the world is relying on it.
Another important thing that we need to encourage our audience to do, Congressman, is participate in the census. We've been talking about
That's
it.
right.
So many ways to do it, and this ultimately determines how we're funded, how we're represented.
That's right. Very, very important that we participate in the census, whether you do it online or whether you fill out the mail piece that you'll be getting, or you might have already received, or you go to your post office and fill it out. But what I try to tell people is for every 1,000 households that go undercounted, and South Texas has historically gone way undercounted, for every 1,000 households, we lose about $150 million in federal resources. And those are monies that are used for schools. Those are monies that are used for planning for our seniors, for taking care of our veterans, for funding roads and drainage and transportation needs in our region. So it's very, very, very important. I can't stress it enough. And it also decides our representation. For about every 720,000, every 750,000 people that you have in a district, it creates a congressional district. So the more people who come out and get counted, the better our chances are of having an extra member of Congress in our region and just having an extra voice, and it's certainly a powerhouse for the people of that area.
We want to thank you for being our voice in Capitol Hill. You're from South Texas. Did you imagine that your life at some point was going to lead to this kind of leadership?
It was always a dream, I guess, from law school forward, but it was always one of those ideas that you think, the stars for them to align up for this possibility is, as rare as can usually be. And in 4 years ago, in November 2015, when Congressman Hinojosa announced that he wasn't running, I turned around and told my wife, I said, I've got to do this. I got to give it a shot. There were 11 candidates in that race. I had never run for office before. I was the only person on the Democratic ticket who had never been on the ballot. And so it was a tough race. We knocked on 223,000 doors. We communicated our message of hope and prosperity for our region, and having a strong voice in Washington. And thankfully, the majority of the people in this area had supported me and supported me again in my 2018 election. And I continue to ask for their support every 2 years, because as you know, we run every 2 years. So it feels like we're always campaigning, because we really are. And so it's a lot of work. I spend about 50 or 60 hours a month in airplanes and airports traveling between Washington and the district. When we're in session, I come home every weekend back to my district to, stay in touch with people and community leaders and hear the needs that are important to us to be able to go back and voice in Washington and assure that we get the resources that we deserve. And I always tell folks in Washington, we don't ask for handouts. We just want to assure that we get our fair share of the American pie.
Well, we most certainly appreciate you representing our district, your home, and I think that deserves a toast. So I'm going to grab this mug because we're hopeful for more leadership, and we're hopeful for so many things right now. It's an important time, and we're thankful. We're thankful for your leadership, Congressman Gonzalez.
Salud to South Texas.
Salud to South Texas. And when we come back, we're going to talk to the Boys and Girls Club of McAllen on how they're hoping to keep our kids busy and safe this summer. An interview is coming up right after this short break.
Need help after COVID-19? Get support and answers on financial assistance, utility hardship assistance, state and federal funding, workplace safety planning, and more. Free for FAR residents and business owners only. Call 402-4311 to set up your appointment today.
We are spending more time at home these days, and keeping our kids entertained, well, that's quite challenging. But the Boys and Girls Club of McAllen says they are ready to welcome back kids for summer camp, and we want to thank Ms. Dalinda Alccantar with the Boys and Girls Club of McAllen for joining us today to talk about how operations are being run a little different this time around.
No, absolutely. Well, I want to start off by saying that we are still having a blast at the Boys and Girls Club. It's still a lot of fun for our kids at the Boys and Girls Club. So that has remained the same, regardless of the fact that things look a little bit different, and we certainly have a lot less kids than we traditionally do. But, you know, we've been moving about this for quite some time now, and it's been exciting to see all of the kids run in with their own supplies, because this summer we're not sharing, and they do have their masks on, but they were really excited to come through our doors.
I heard it was a very emotional welcome back, Ms. Alccantar, this time around. You've been, running for a few days now. You've had the kids back. I heard it was really emotional.
Yes. So emotional as an executive director, emotional as a mom. So I actually had to excuse myself from Roni, and I went outside to my car, and I really let myself just take in the blessing to be able to serve all of these children, including my own daughter, who has come to camp this year because I am here working very long hours at the club. And I was very taken back when I saw a group of kids running in. And it just solidified for me as an individual and as a mother that we are doing the right thing. And we've taken everything into account, the CDC guidelines, the recommendations from the state. But ultimately, I was taken back as a mom to see these children running in, and they were really excited, and it was a blessing.
What a blessing to have you serving this community and so many others across the valley. So many parents are now having, to return back to work. And I think it's very comforting. They know that this place exists. What do you want to say to the parents that, really rely on your support?
So the very first thing I did during our employee orientation, I started off by this. I said, look, we are going to take this opportunity and we are going to serve these children as if they were your own brothers and sisters, your own little brothers and sisters. we're not going to get this wrong if we serve every one of these children, our club members, as if they were your own child, your own daughter, your own son. And if we take that mindset, as I have this entire time that we've created new implementation plans, new protocols, and I always said to myself, would I bring my own children here? And we kept building on that concept. And I think you can't get it wrong when you have that level of conviction to say, we are going to serve as if they were our own. And I really feel that way. I feel that, first of all, that I know that moms and dads need to go back to work. They have to go back to work. And they shouldn't have to feel like they have to choose between the safety and well-being of their children and, the financial obligation to support their families by going back to work. They shouldn't feel like they have to neglect either. And so we are an affordable opportunity for them. So for 9 weeks, if you can imagine this, for 9 weeks of camp, breakfast and lunch provided by McAllen ISD and 8 to 5 p.m. Every day for only $185. That is less than $5 a day, so that families can return back to work and know that their children are being very, very well taken care of.
Ms. Alccantar, is there still room for others to enroll in the program this summer?
There is. So we have actually less than 50 spots. And so one of the things is that even though I will tell you that a few Thursdays ago, Governor Abbott did release for a full phase 3, which really allowed us to uncap youth programs and youth sports, we still felt like we wanted to stay in a phase 2, 25% capacity. We had already committed to that with our families. And so we said, you know what, regardless of that step forward that the state felt like we could take, we still said we're committed at the 25% capacity. That being said, we're only able to serve about 240 kids, where last year at the same time, we had almost 800 club members enrolled. So we do have about 50 spots left. It's over at our brand center, so the traditional clubhouse that many people remember going to. I know that Sally actually is a club member. She's an alumni, and so she knows this brand center. So we do have space in this particular clubhouse.
And I will tell you, you all hold such a special place in my heart, because as a child, I was a member, and I remember those were the most beautiful years of my life. So thank you for the beautiful work that you do, for the blessing we have that you serve this community, and we just are very grateful for you, Ms. Alccantar.
Thank you for sharing that. I didn't know that. We're going to have to get in touch with you. We're building a very strong alumni base, so that's good to know.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate your leadership in this community, and we can't wait to hear about more kids going and having a great time there at the Boys and Girls Club of McAllen.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
We appreciate you, Ms. Alccantar. And coming up, you can't call it a side dish anymore. No, this one has main dish potential. Our friends from Mori Japanese Grill are going to show us how to make a delicious roasted cauliflower right after this short break.
To the UTRGV class of 2020, congratulations on your graduation and your remarkable achievements. Your strength, your passion, your optimism, your dedication, your spirit, your resolve, and especially your knowledge and your ideas are what we need now more than ever. You are all the more prepared to transform the Rio Grande Valley and the world because of what you have overcome. So many people have helped you on this journey, and we honor them. You are not only fulfilling your dreams, but the dreams of your families. We are all so proud of you, and we're counting on you. You are the future of Texas.
Hello, my name is Ramon Aguilar. I'm the corporate chef from Kumori Restaurants and executive chef from Mori Japanese Grill. So we're gonna make a roasted cauliflower, and to make basically you just need to boil the cauliflower around 8 to 9 minutes in the hot water with salt. Once it's blanched or pre-cooked, just take off the water, and we're gonna roast over the grill. For season the cauliflower, we need, we made our homemade chimichurri. The difference with chimichurri is we add some shishito peppers and a little bit of wasabi, but you can make just as a traditional with celery, with parsley and olive oil and garlic. We got the green onions, flakes, salt. So our cauliflower is done. So as you can see, we got here very nice heart. And we're gonna finish just with the chimichurri, the nut butter, and the greens. So you're gonna cut on the middle, spread the cauliflower. So we're gonna add the chimichurri. Try to put the chimichurri warm. That's the nut butter. So this is a very nice touch of nutty flavor. So I'm gonna add the green onions and the microgreens. So as you can see, it's like a baby cilantro, and the flavor is very concentrated. It's very nice. And this one you need to add more salt on top. Be gentle with the salt because you're gonna need it. And this is the roast cauliflower. Enjoy.
Oh, that dish looks so amazing. We want to thank our friends from Mori Japanese Grill. We also want to thank Sister Norma Pimentel, Dalinda Alccantar with the Boys and Girls Club of McAllen, and Valley Congressman Vicente Gonzalez for sitting down with us. I want to also thank you for always making us a part of your day. We can't thank you enough. We look forward to the next time. For now, we leave you with the art of socializing.